Good morning and welcome to Onward in Love and Caregiving. I'm Greg Johnson. I'm the president and CEO of GJP International, Greg Johnson Partnerships International. And here in New York, I have the great privilege of serving as the chief advisor to the CEO of Emblem Health for family caregiving. I want to welcome you to this program, and I know you already know, our wonderful audience, that this is a special program because you see Jean with us here in New York City, and we're glad to have you with us, Jean, this morning. I think we're getting a little competition from the New York City Fire Department, but that's all right. We'll just say a special prayer for the person for whom they're going. Let it be safe and good. Anyhow, welcome. And this morning is a special program. Emblem Health, I've had the privilege of being with them for 22 years, and that journey continues as we share family caregiving. My mission from the very beginning and the focus were the employees, the members, and the world at large. Well, you, my dear friends, in this broadcast, you have been and are that world at large. Emblem has been very generous. They were early pioneers in bringing awareness and attention to the world of the silent patients, the family caregivers. And through their literature, we have shared that literature all over the world. And because I travel a great deal and am blessed to live in Bali as well, not a hard place to live. I'm looking forward to getting back there. I know Jean is too. We've had the privilege of bringing together many people from many parts of the world. And that's how this program began. Because this program is about family caregiving, faith, and spirituality. And we share many of the resources that Emblem has created. Now, here in New York, we have always been blessed that Emblem has been at the forefront of prioritizing and partnering, always partnering and building relationships in the world of family caregiving. It was we who began the New York City Family Caregiver Coalition. We created the New York City Partnership for Family Caregiving Corps. And out of that came a focus and a pilot. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. It was our goal, and it remains our goal, because this is a work in progress, and we're just sharing with you, because many of you from Southeast Asia, I know particularly some of you in Australia, are doing programs where you are partnering with businesses. And that's so important because we're meeting the caregivers in their place of work. And by honoring their dual tasks, the duality of their lives, their corporate world and their role as a family caregiver, we are honoring their complete being. And we are finding positive results, and we're going to be talking about that. So Jean, he's been working on a project with us in Indonesia, and we'll have to talk more about that in another program, Jean, don't you think?
Yes, that's right, Greg. And it's great that we are in another special episode of Onward in Love and Caregiving this morning. And as you have mentioned, that Emblem Health has provided like the resources that they have shared to all of the universal world of family caregiving, including the ones that we are working in Indonesia. And that will create also the opportunity that the family caregiving will be able to be introduced in all over the world with the resources and the material from Emblem Health. And this is part of the Emblem Health initiative in family caregiving that we are going to share this morning. So I will share the information, what we are going to share this morning, and also who are the special guests that will join the broadcast this morning.
That sounds wonderful. And I believe you've got some slides for us. So why don't we begin there?
So, Greg. Okay, so here are the pilot, what we call that we are creating between Emblem Health and Better Living Now. So the pilot with Better Living Now began with the caregiver and with the uh, continuous and extensive conversations with CEO from both corporations, including the involvement of the human resources and other supporting teams. So the pilot began with in-person classes. It's like 4 times per year. And we also invited different lectures from Emblem Health and also from other organizations like the EHNY, CB4, FCC corporations. And later on, because the family caregiving is a special session, everybody can come up with a different topic. So one-on-one coaching is deemed necessary, and you will talk more about that.
Now let me just interject a thought here, because for our audiences where we talked about, I want to show how what we've been doing online for our friends all over the world was very much what we were doing at Better Living Now. We brought in many of the people who have been our special guests on these special programs. They came out to the offices on Long Island of Better Living Now. We had Marian Gambardella, who came and talked to us about support groups. Cynthia Burke, whom you will remember on her program about Friends Indeed and the spirituality of family caregiving. And then also Sheila Warnock, the wonderful author of Share the Care. So what we were doing at BLN, we were doing in New Zealand and Australia and Nepal and Indonesia, and we want to keep on doing that. Okay,
Yes,
then came...
And for all of our audience that would like to reach all of the lecturers, because we have made the special editions of broadcast with all of them. So feel free just to go to our YouTube channels and try to view each sessions with all of the lecturers and also other lecturers that involved in family caregiving from a different perspective.
Thank you. Now, then we had begun a pilot in person. We were moving along, and then came the pandemic. Well, we weren't going to stop there. And with our guests today, we were able to come up with bi-weekly tips just to help people along. We did monthly talks, again, online, and of course, one-on-one, just keeping us moving along. Then, as people were beginning to be able to come back into the offices, we had to do many more sessions because of honoring the protocols and space allotments. But we began a series called Coffee and Caregiving. And it was really a support group that had, it's bi-monthly, that had really 3 parts to it. One was we had a check-in. In other words, each of us talked about what had happened in the 2 months since we'd been together. What were some challenges? What were some successes? What were some horribly difficult moments? And we shared that together and shared solutions. Then I always had a topic, which we would be an educational component, as it were. And then we ended with a time of meditation, a time for the caregiver, some tips that could be utilized in a very simple way. And we constantly were reminding people of the series, the 8-part series, You Are Not Alone. They're short 8-minute series on the YouTube channel, as you've suggested. The YouTube channel is Family Caregiving with the Rev, and also our one-on-one. So that's where we began, and that's where we are now. So I'm going to invite our 2 very special guests to join us today. Robert
Yeah.
Dole and Lisa Maxwell from Better Living Now. Oh, and Jean, you'll be back with us later. All right. I'm going to ask both of you, first of all, to introduce yourselves to us. And let's go ladies first. Lisa.
Thank you. It's a great honor to be here with both yourself, Greg, and Jean. So I'm Lisa Maxwell. I'm the marketing manager at Better Living Now. I've been here about a year and a half. So it's a great company, a lot going on, and it's a great feeling that we're transforming the healthcare journey for many patients and for many of our providers and health plans.
Absolutely. And Robert, will you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Robert Dolle. I'm the Director of Marketing and Business Development here at Better Living Now. I've been with the company for just about 2.5 years now. And, you know, we are very heavily involved in the caregiving space. What we do as a company, day in and day out, is work with patients in the chronic condition space to, you know, meet their supply needs, provide them with their supplies. So, you know, just by nature, we're engaging with caregivers pretty much all day, every day. So it was a very, you know, obvious fit, in my opinion, to really try to, you know, figure out ways to help our employees become better caregivers, with really the goal of having that trickle down into the work we do with our patients and their families and their caregivers as well.
That's wonderful. Now, I'm just going to put in here a moment, so that I was going to do this earlier and my Teflon brain forgot. But it's, I want people to understand why our relationship came to be. One of the people with one of the organizations with whom Emblem Health has had a long and positive relationship is Better Living Now. They provide all the supplies and needs of many of our patients who are dealing with all sorts of chronic conditions. Therefore, they're an extension of Emblem Health. We at Emblem Health have been doing classes and training, because one of the things that's always applicable to all of us in our corporate lives, we are professional caregivers. And I like to often say the answer to the prayers of a lot of the people who call me saying I need help. And it is true. As human beings, we are also family caregivers in our families of origin and in our families of choice. And when we become very much in tune with that role as a family caregiver, we have seen it very, very much at Emblem, and we have seen it now with BLN. The understanding of that customer on the phone, we have much more empathy, much more compassion, because that could be us. And when we have that relationship, many, many doors of understanding are open, and we hear the family caregiver in what's not even said, because too often the caregiver doesn't even know that they're a caregiver. They just assume I'm supposed to be doing this. And by gently using the word and thanking them for being a caregiver, we can then help them on the journey of the loved one with whom they're working. So that was the perfect mesh for our pilot program. Now, folks, let's hear about Better Living Now and caregiving. And Lisa, I think you have some slides for us.
I do. Yes, I will put that up here.
Great. Yes.
And there we go. Are you able to see the slides?
Yes, they're excellent.
Oh, excellent.
In fact, if you want to go back to the first one, that was marvelous.
Sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
Caregiving awareness and education program. I'll applaud that one.
So, you know, at Better Living Now, you know, we kind of touched on it. We work with patients that are dealing with, you know, individuals dealing with chronic conditions every day. It's actually a work that I myself have a pretty much a lifelong experience of having to be a part of. My brother has Down syndrome. So, you know, that's obviously from a very early age. I'm the oldest of 4 children. So, you know, I've been exposed to what being a caregiver is like for pretty much my entire life. And that's kind of, you know, really shaped my point of view in what it takes to be a caregiver, and making sure that these patients are provided with the sort of support, and their family members and their caregivers are provided with the sort of support that they need. And as Greg, you said it perfectly, we're an extension of our customers. You know, we work with individual patients, we work with doctors and other providers and clinicians, and we work with health plans as well. And we really try to be the glue that keeps that continuum in check, you know, to really provide as much as possible the path of least resistance to these patients having to treat these conditions that they deal with on a daily basis. Because I can't imagine what it would be like to have to, you know, require the sort of care and support that is needed. So, you know, the fact that we can go out and come together, you know, Emblem Health, you, Greg, Jean, and Better Living Now, to be able to start to bring awareness and validation really to what and empathy to what being a caregiver requires has been tremendous, and really had a phenomenal impact on our staff internally. Just some of the conversations and chatter that happens after one of your sessions it's amazing. You know, you can tell that they feel heard, that they feel that a difference was made. And it really allows them to say, wow, you know, I'm doing this day in and day out. I'm working my normal job. I'm having to take care of other children. I have my kids, you know, my spouse that I need to take care of. And whether it be an elderly parent, whether it be a child or anything in between, it really, you know, gives them the ability to pause and say, wow, I have a lot going on. And it's really amazing that there's somebody out there that hears me and knows what I'm going through and is able to be there to provide that level of support. So Lisa, if you want to go to the next slide. I just want to give you a little background on Better Living Now. We are a national chronic care condition specialist. We also provide durable medical equipment. Those would be like wheelchairs and more hard type of items like that. We are located in Long Island, Hauppauge, New York, as our primary corporate headquarters, but we do work with patients in every state in the United States, as well as Puerto Rico and Guam. And we have some exciting news. On June 1st, we're going to be opening another distribution facility in Twin Falls, Idaho, with some additional plans to continue expanding below. So, you know, that's obviously great from a business perspective, but none of that is possible without being able to take care of our patients, the health plan members, and our providers' patients as well.
And I just saw that Idaho plant on Facebook this morning. Congratulations, Lisa, you've been working the social media.
She's on top of it, that's for sure.
Always.
Lisa, you can go to the next slide. So we, you know, as you can see, we specialize in a lot of different conditions. Diabetes is something that we do a lot of work with. Actually, we have a pretty unique diabetes care program that we partnered with Emblem on to drive, with the goal of helping those members through education, through support, and, you know, obviously through providing them with their supplies, as well as educating them on how to use those supplies, really with the goal of providing them with more healthy, more positive and healthy outcomes. You know, our goal is we never like it when we hear about one of our patients, you know, having to be admitted into a hospital, and we do our best to try to get them the supplies that they need to make sure that they don't end up in that situation. We also provide asthma respiratory support supplies as well, CPAPs, nebulizers, oxygen, things like that. Ostomy, which is another chronic care condition, as well as incontinence and urological supplies. And we also work with in the wound care section as well, bandages, adhesives, things like that, really, which unfortunately do tie into that diabetic population. We're really just looking to provide full, support to our patients from top to bottom in any way that they might need from us. So as you can, I guess, Lisa, do you want to talk about the classroom support, since you had a lot to do with that with Greg?
Sure. So we do have education and support services here at Better Living Now. We've had the great privilege of working with Greg in regards to getting our employees involved in this program. So as he had stated, with the pandemic, it was a little, we had a little delay there from going in person to virtual. So we were able to do that. We've had, I would say, at least 4 to 8 sessions with each happening 3 times a day. We've had a great response from our employees in regards to caregiving and what the support services and the coping skills that Greg is able to provide to our employees. Many of them have, whether it's a home situation, whether family, friend, whatever, whoever they're caring for, that's one scenario, as well as many of the calls that they take throughout the day in our customer service, our care coordinators, they deal with numerous caregivers for their loved ones that need supplies. So during these sessions, we're really targeting, how they're handling this, how they're utilizing the coping skills and the support skills that Greg enforces during these virtual sessions, and also wellness and some lifestyle skills such as meditation and how to implement some of those core activities into their lifestyle. So when they are not in an actual virtual session, they can incorporate this throughout their life on a daily basis. Sometimes, dealing with a lot of patients who have caregivers, it is a very stressful environment. The caregivers are trying to do the best that they can, and they're trying to cope and help their loved one get the supplies and various products that they need to, assist them with whether it be pain or whether it be, diabetes supplies or whatever it may be, just so that they can remain in their normal lifestyle.
Yeah, Greg, I have to say, has done a phenomenal job, with the coffee and caregiving, providing a place where our employees feel comfortable sharing some of their hardships. And inevitably, you find out something about, we had a couple of cases where, we had employees who sit next to each other, on a day-to-day basis. Greg, I know you'll appreciate this one. And they didn't even know, had no idea about some of the struggles that their work neighbor, who they spend pretty much a third of their life next to, was going through. And I thought that was powerful.
That's absolutely powerful. And also the thing that I keep hearing, and I'm thrilled to hear it, is so many of them are so grateful that they can be their authentic self at work.
Yeah.
I don't have to wear a mask that everything is perfect when it isn't. This is not as an excuse or anything else, but it's when people can be who they really are and knows that the corporation is supporting them in understanding. And we are healthcare, so hey, let's begin right where we are with ourselves. We are our own customer in that sense.
That's for sure.
Very true.
Now, you've done a lot of blogging and social media.
Yes. So we offer, and it's for the public, it's for our customers, you know, for anybody, for our employees, for anybody who wants more information in regards to caregiving. We have actually a health education website that's an offshoot of our Better Living Now e-commerce site. We talk about various conditions. So we cover diabetes, wound care, ostomy, and we kind of educate, you know, the reader in regards to certain things that could happen within these conditions, how to manage them appropriately. We also have, which is a wonderful addition that we've added, is the caregivers section. So you can see that onto the right-hand side of the slideshow. And this is really providing assistance and just overall daily living tips for caregivers. Within there, we have various blogs, which I have written and as well as Greg has contributed on, which has been a pleasure. And we kind of tackle different topics, really, and get them out there. My background myself, you know, I was a family caregiver, you know, for my parents. So unfortunately, they had both passed. But me and my brother were the only caregivers at the time. It was very difficult. We were both under 40. And, you know, having these kind of resources really help empower the family caregiver and make them realize they're not alone. So we really, you know, embrace this, and this is really the forefront of getting this out there and making the awareness known to everybody.
Yeah,
And that is the great gift
Yes.
in the world of family caregiving. The
Yeah.
two of you have expressed it so well. You come from a place of understanding because you've been there.
Yeah.
Like Rosalind Carter said, there are only 4 types of people in the world. Those of us who are caregivers today, those of us who have been, those of us who will be, and people like me who are often cared for. That is what it is all about. And again and again in these years that I've had the privilege of serving Emblem Health, the leaders that we have met in government, in for-profit and nonprofit, are the people who have been caregivers. Whenever I walk into an office, no matter whose it might be, and I introduce myself and say that I am the chief advisor to the CEO for family caregiving, and they immediately begin to tell me a story, I think, thank you, we got a partner here. You don't have to explain it once they've been through it. Oh, I love this slide. Go ahead.
Good. Rob, would you like to cover this?
Sure. This is just a highlight of some of our capabilities and ways that we look to, you know, show to our customers that we care. You know, just going back, at least you don't have to go back to the previous slide, but just one thing I wanted to reemphasize or highlight is the importance of education in empowering people to either feel more comfortable in their role as a caregiver, or if there's someone that needs to be cared for, providing them with that education to empower them to either make, you know, healthier decisions, or to provide them with maybe some alternatives to what they've experienced. And sometimes just a simple blog article can have a tremendous impact in providing that awareness and helping to drive some of those experiences and outcomes for our patients and our customers. So, you know, just to quickly touch on some of the things that we do here or have available here to help support our patients. As I mentioned earlier, we are a national supplier of chronic care condition supplies and durable medical equipment. You know, we have our website, which, you know, does allow you to order your supplies if that's what you'd like to do. It's also where our educational resources are housed as well. We do have in-house clinicians on staff, which do provide that value-added support to our patients, whether it be a diabetic patient, you know, a patient with diabetes, or somebody with diabetes calling in to ask questions on how to use a supply or a piece of equipment, or just in regards to their medication regimen. We provide that sort of support in the form of a diabetes educator. We also have a number of other clinicians on staff, pharmacists that can help with some of those medication questions, and some of the other product categories that we support as well. We have a lot of partnerships with a lot of health plans, which really gives us a large exposure to helping impact the chronic care space or the chronic condition space. And it's something that I actually, before I came to Better Living Now, I was from the finance world. I have to tell you, the level of fulfillment I've been able to personally receive being in healthcare and having that impact, with the doctors and giving them the opportunity to provide their patients with a better experience has been amazing. I love it. I never thought it would be so fulfilling. And then we also are open from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night, but we do have 24/7 online ordering if you'd like to supply submit your supply orders that way as well. And then we have a number of different support staff in terms of customer care coordinators. Their primary role is to work with our patients, help them understand, what their health plan coverage looks like, help them to understand what sort of supplies they might need to be able to help treat their conditions. We also have a provider relations team. We realized how important it was to make sure that the doctor was the anchor to the relationship with the patient. So we wanted to make sure those doctors were provided with an amazing experience when working with us. So we actually provide every physician that we work with a direct point of contact here at Better Living Now, so that if they need to, ask a question, they have a question on health plan coverage guidelines for one of their patients, they're not sure, maybe even what supply they might want to prescribe, we're able to provide them with information to help make those decisions. And we also do provide, if insurance isn't, the way that you want to go with acquiring your supplies, we also offer direct pay, which is, just like buying anything else online. And that's, pretty much some of the things that we look to do in order to support our patients and our customers.
Sure. I would just like to add as well, not only do we have the Diabetes Health Improvement Program in place, which educates and helps with compliance for people living with diabetes and the caregivers that are taking care of those patients. We also have a house here in Hauppauge, Long Island, a mastectomy and lymphedema boutique. So we have female fitters and they're accredited. They're able to assist after cancer care for women and whoever else that had mammograms that were, not positive, but also had to get mastectomies. So we do that in-house here, and as well as the lymphedema part of it. So we have that team as well, where we can support that patient and the caregiver taking care of them.
Yeah, we do a lot of work with the American Cancer Society as well. In terms of supporting their efforts with the Jones Beach Walk and those various events that they hold to raise money for their I guess customers, for their members.
And I just wanted to say how impressive it is visiting your site. That store, that boutique is so love-filled. I'm always impressed by it. And then when I walk into the warehouse portion, I'm overwhelmed by all of the things that are available. It's an incredibly wonderful experience. And all I can say is they are extremely blessed to have both of you on their team. And I want to just add, you were talking about the classes that you do. Over the years, when we could go out and do online sorts of things, and yes, we'll ask Gene to join us again. There he comes. Yes, when we were able to go out and do events like that, the literature that you always provided, as well as the little goodies, those are always fun. Everybody likes that. they are so meaningful and so helpful. And I still use many of them. And you might know they've traveled about around the world with me. I like to share. I like to share. Well, now we're at a point in our programming where we're talking more about being in person. We hope we're going through a little bump right now with COVID here in at least New York City. But as we journey onward, one of the goals that I'm having, because it's an important goal, I feel, and that is to find, and they're showing themselves as I knew they would within the group that we've been working with, some peer leaders or some people like yourselves who have been caregivers and when I say completed an assignment, it usually means that someone got well or they passed. But those are veteran caregivers, and I'm not talking about Army and veteran. These are veteran caregivers, and they possess a huge amount of information, of knowledge, of empathy. They've been there. And one of the things that I think are so important, and I'm working with this, and fortunately I have a wonderful team at Emblem Health of Carol, of Douglas and Cirilla, brilliant young people. And we are all working on developing ways to enhance those peer leaders so they can continue the work that we've done while we bring the peer leaders together to literally have a parent-teacher meeting, as it were, and work with them. Because it's so important to continue the work, because every day, I mean, every time we've had a gathering, there has always been someone who was new, or there was someone who came saying, oh, I ought to learn something about this. And all I need to do is look at their face, and I know they're in the middle of caregiving.
Yeah.
And having that opportunity is so important. So we just look forward to moving forward. And Jean and I both want to thank you so much for sharing what we've been doing together. And I love the fact that it's been a work in progress and remains a work in progress. We haven't settled on any given, but what we have seen is that there is a need and there is a way to fill it. And if we could do it with a pandemic and with all these other challenges in there, I know we can go on and on. So I want to thank you. I know Jean wants to thank you for this wonderful time. Jean, I know you enjoyed this conversation.
Well, very much. So, because of the excellent slides that Robert and Lisa presented, and you know that it will be very useful for our audience all over the world who just in the early stage of the family caregiving. So the things that have been developed for so many years by Better Living Now will be a good reference on how to explore and how to run the family caregiving in their place. So Robert, Lisa, thank you very much for sharing, and please be very aware that if anyone would like to contact you both, so because I think that there are so many people that would be interested to know much more information about Better Living Now.
Yeah, and thank you guys for providing so much to our staff. It's really been a great experience and made a huge difference in our employees' lives. Like I said, the feedback we've gotten has been nothing but great, positive, and we look forward to continuing our partnership.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, we certainly do. And on behalf of our CEO, Karen Ignani, and the entire caregiving team, I want to thank you for allowing us to work on this concept.
Yeah.
We don't always, I particularly don't always function in the most business-like fashion. I come from that creative world, but my heart is always open to people, and it's heart to heart that gives us the answers of what are needed. and we've had such fun. We look forward to continuing this. And to our audience out there all over the world, we thank you for being with us. And we thank you for being caregivers. Wherever in the world I go, I always begin and I end by saying the two words that family caregivers rarely, if ever, hear. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you. And folks, onward in love and caregiving. Namaste. We'll see you real soon. Thank you very, very much, Robert and Lisa and Jean.